At the lowest level, computers have circuits, and through these circuits flows electricity. A bit in the context of digital computing can be thought of as representing either the absence or the presence of an electrical current through a circuit. The presence of an electrical current can be determined based on the voltage. For example, 0 volts could indicate off, or a 0 bit, and 5 volts could indicate on, or a 1 bit. The actual voltage used in real circuits varies depending on the technology, but this hopefully gives you an idea of how it could work. Transistors are the main component behind bits, acting as switches, allowing or blocking the flow of an electrical current by amplifying or cutting off voltage, based on whether the presence or the absence of an electrical signal should exist. They are the basis behind logic gates and really the entirety of all modern day computation. The state of a transistor, on or off, can represent a bit, 0 or 1. Transistors can be arranged in very complex ways within integrated circuits to form not only the basis for computer processors, but also memory chips, enabling the manipulation and storage of digital information in the form of bits. CPUs happen to have billions of transistors. Modern day processors like the i7 can have upward of 3 billion transistors, depending on the cores. Over time, transistors have become miniaturized to support the type of computation that we deal with today. The smaller transistors become, the more can be packed into a single chip, leading to increased processing power and efficiency. Obviously. Moore's law is the observation that the number of transistors in an integrated circuit doubles about every 2 years. In the early days of microprocessors, processors like the Intel 4004 created in 1971 and the Intel 8006 created in 1978 had a relatively small number of transistors. The Intel 4004, one of the earliest microprocessors, contained approximately 2,300 transistors. Fast forward to today, and the M2, the one that Apple made, the hyped up one, has approximately 20 billion transistors. But even with those impressive numbers, it seems that we're actually moving too slowly for Moore's law to ever be true. So after editing, I realized that the M3 came out in October of 2023, and that has an even higher transistor count, so I wanted to just briefly mention that too. Bits. That's what this whole video was about. They are, of course, the smallest unit of information possible on a computer. A single byte is equivalent to 8 bits, but bits also represent digits in binary, the base 2 number system. Binary is slightly different than the decimal base 10 number system that we're used to in that only 2 digits exist. All machine instructions on a computer are comprised of binary when executed. Another numerical system often used in computer science is hexadecimal, a base 16 number system, which is actually a more concise way of expressing binary values due to the fact that it's a power of 2. Every hexadecimal digit corresponds to exactly 4 bits in binary, also known as a nibble. That means a single hexadecimal digit can cover every value within 4 digits of binary. For this reason, machine code is usually represented in hex values, which is why when you want to edit machine code directly, use a hex editor. More specifically, 16 is 2 to the power of 4, which is why it spans across 4 bits. But perhaps we're getting a bit ahead of ourselves. The truth is, we probably could have had a different number system altogether looking back on it, but we settled on the number 10. Why? Well, it was likely because we have 10 fingers. If you've never counted in any other base besides 10, thinking about other number systems can be quite strange at first. So before we talk about binary, let's first talk about the number system that we're used to, the decimal number system, base 10. Each digit in our number system is equivalent to an exponent of its base. The further left the digit, the higher the exponential value. The value of the digits 1, 0 is equivalent to the base in every number system. In hexadecimal, 1, 0 is equivalent to 16. In binary, 1, 0 is 2. And in the decimal system, 1, 0 is, well, 10. The first digit following the first is equivalent to the base to the power of 1. The further left you go, it becomes the base to the power of 2, and 3, and 4, and so on. 100 is just 10 to the second power. 1000 000 is just 10 to the 6th power, which is why scientific notation is such a neat way of expressing large values. And with this information, we can actually calculate the value of any arrangement of digits in any number system. In base 2, we can only have a 1 or a 0, which means 100 is equivalent to 2 to the power of 2, because 2 zeros means raising the base to that power, which is 4. In base 16, 100 would be 16 to the power of 2, which is 256. In an 8-bit number, the highest possible value is 255, but why exactly? Well, let's look at our decimal system. What is the highest value that can fit within 2 digits? Well, 99, which is 100 minus 1. A 1 with 8 zeros after it, conforming to the rules that we've established, where every digit exponentially increases the value by the base, would be equivalent to 2 to the power of 8, which is 256. But 1 with 8 zeros after it is actually 9 digits. So we subtract 1 and we get the value that can fit within 8 digits, which is whatever number can be created if all bits are 1. And this value is 255. So hopefully you now understand how to calculate the highest possible value within any number of bits. But what about negative numbers? How do those get expressed? Well, we can fit 256 values within 8 bits, but those values don't necessarily need to all be positive. The way we express negative numbers in binary is with something known as 2's complement. And now, before 2's complement, there was 1's complement, which can be found by inverting all the bits in a number. 2's complement differs slightly in that you add 1 after inverting all the bits. The reason for using 2's complement instead of 1's complement has something to do with the inefficiencies of arithmetic, end around carry, the fact that there's 2 different ways of expressing 0 since all 1's is 0 and all 0's is 0, and these issues don't exist in 2's complement. So now let's try to express something in 2's complement. Take a 4-bit number 0, 1, 100, which is 4. If you want negative 4, it's simple. It's 1100. You invert all the bits and add 1. And if you want the positive representation, you can repeat the process to return to the positive value. 2's complement is actually that simple. The most significant bit, the leftmost bit, is the signed bit, which will let you know if a number is negative or positive. 1 indicates that a number is negative, and 0 indicates that the number is positive. The main thing to keep in mind is that because you have negative numbers, you could only represent half the number of positive values, while the other half are negative. However, this only applies to signed integers. In an unsigned 8-bit integer, the highest number you can express is 255, but a signed 8-bit integer can only express negative 128 to 127. This is still 256 values, but half of the values are negative. And now, to wrap up this video so that I can talk about bit manipulation in the next video in this series, let's talk a little bit about binary addition and subtraction. Binary addition works bit by bit, starting from the rightmost bit, the least significant bit. The rules are straightforward. 0 and 0 produces a 0. 0 and 1 produce a 1. 1 and 0 produce the same thing, a 1. 1 and 1 produce a 0 and a carry to the next higher bit. This is essentially the same as decimal addition. When we produce a number higher than 10, which is higher than the base, then a carry is produced to the next higher number. For example, if we add the number 00001111 and 00000001, it results in 000100000. This is similar to decimal addition, but with only the digits 0 and 1. So what if we run out of bits? What happens then? Well, there's a name for this: arithmetic, overflow, and underflow. Let's try this. In the following code, 1 has been added to an 8-bit unsigned integer with a value of 255, and it turns into the value 0. This is known as an overflow, because once we run out of bits, the integer wraps right back around to 0. This actually explains why there's only one representation of 0 in 2's complement, because if you invert all the bits of 0, you get all 1's, and if you add 1 to that, well, you're right back to 0. However, the opposite is true as well. In the following code, we've subtracted 1 from an 8-bit integer with a value of 0, and it turns that value into all 1's, or 255. This is known as underflow, and in this case, the integer wraps back around to its maximum value. So that pretty much just about concludes what I wanted to express in this video. Hopefully you learned something interesting about bits or binary, and we can continue to build upon this in future videos.